Hey, I figured I'd put a camera up and we could just like talk face to face like gentlemen or women, you know? How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the first ever community stream. We're going to hang out and talk about some cards. First thing we're going to do is take a tour around the place. This is a room that I am streaming from. It's sort of an office, but it's also got a ton of play space. This is my children's play space. There's a dinosaur. That's a quilt from my second son. I did not make that quilt. That would be amazing if I did, but did not make that. That was my mom made that quilt. So welcome to this room and welcome to this stream. Let me pop over to this button right here. Oh, look at that. That looks sick. Oh man, I spent like tens of minutes on this. Tens of minutes. Amazing. Welcome to the ranking portion of this stream. So before we get started, I think we should probably just, see how everyone's doing. How was the day? Today was my first day back with students. I am a teacher, so yesterday I sat in my room and we, worked things out and planned, and today we saw our kids again and started back doing teacher things. So that was something. I hope you guys had a good Christmas break, because my break is over. If you didn't even have a Christmas break, I don't know what I'm saying. Like, you had Christmas Day. That's kind of weird. That I'm like one of the only teachers out there. Anyway, so let's jump in and take a look at these cards. This is the plan. The plan is this. We're going to look at all 8 of the super rares together. We're going to talk about each one. And then we're going to pop back to the screen that we're on. We're going to go to this screen. Boom. I'm going to disappear. And on this screen, I'm going to show you each of the super rares, one at a time, like this, hopefully. Boom. 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 We're going to talk about all of them, and so you can kind of see them all up close, comparatively side by side, and then we will pop back over to this screen, where we'll go one by one, like this. It's so weird. I should just have these all on hotkeys. That'd be so much easier. Boom. Haha. Look at that. We'll go one by one, and we will, I'm going to send you a link. You're going to go to said link on the internet, and you are going to vote 1 to 8. Okay, 1 is the highest. What you think is the best, most powerful, and that's an important thing, because talking about the best is very, very general. So we'll say the most powerful has the most options. However you want to clarify that, just keep your portion of, I guess, your grading or your ranking consistent. That's the biggest thing. 1 is the most powerful, 8 is the least powerful. I'm sure everyone is going to give this card a 1, or at least a 2, right? Because this card's amazing. And at the very end, so it'll be a straw poll, and it'll calculate for us, and we'll kind of go through that. It'll be great. And at the very end, we'll take a look. I'll pop it all onto a spreadsheet, and we'll see what we vote as the number 1 and the number 8. And really the most interesting thing is what we think of in between, because the in between stuff is very difficult, I think, especially with these. With these ones, man, it's like, how do you know which is the 4th best? They're all so, what's the word? Interesting? Is that the word? I don't know. Interesting. We'll go with that. So let's start. Let us begin. First card up is the Earth X Captain America. We are going alphabetically, by the way. Earth X Captain America is a 5-cost shield character. He has a 133, 145, 155 stat line. It's hard to see that top side because holographic graphics kind of get in the way when you scan stuff. So 155 on top. He says Earth X Captain America can't be blocked by villain character dice. That could be good or bad. You're not really blocking with Shriek, and that's what is on most teams. That's a villain. There are a handful of really good villains, and there could be some villain teams coming up in the future. So take that for what it will be. He also has, when fielded, if an opponent has more life than you, gain 4 life, which is okay, but life gain, as we talked about on the last stream, is not as powerful as it could be. I guess when you cap at 20, it kind of puts a damper on it. And it has the underdog ability, and if you don't know, underdog basically means when this character comes out on the field, if you have less characters on the field then your opponent, then you trigger this ability, and it says when fielded, which is hilarious because Underdog is a when fielded. You may field up to 2 character dice from your used pile at level 1 with a combined attack of 4 or less, which is a really intriguing ability because you can pull things like Shriek on level 1, and you use the when fielded effect because it says to field them. You can do the exact same thing. You can, in fact, pull a Shriek and a Dwarf Wizard at the same time. 2 characters, put them both on level 1, and blank 2 things. You could pull the Blob, which is pretty good. Capture something, or really any of the blobs, take all the sidekicks. Basically, any when fielded effect, you could proc a trigger on Firefly, or proc a trigger on, what's that really, Norman. Why did I forget that one? That one's like the best one, right? You could do a lot of stuff with that, because there's a lot of things that fall under that category of combined attack of 4 or less. You can squeeze some stuff in there. So which is really cool. I think that last portion is actually very interesting. Unfortunately, it's an Underdog, so sometimes it doesn't trigger, right? All right, that's number 1. Number 2, the best one is, click the button. Thank you. Earth X Machine Man, right? Earth X Machine Man is a... Where'd he go? There he is. It's hard for me to read because I'm looking at this tiny screen. You guys have it. You could full screen it. Earth X Machine Man is a 5-cost fist character. Excuse me. He's an 022, 123, 134 for 5. Those are some spicy stats right there. His ability is rather intriguing after you look past the horribleness of his stat line and purchase cost. It says he can't be targeted. Like, opponents can't target Earth X Machine Man. You can, but opponents can't. Opposing action dice have no effect on Earth X Machine Man. So your opponent, outside of blocking or using, an effect that does not target that could possibly KO him, which he has a low enough defense, something that hits the board and deals, mass damage to every character on the field that doesn't target, like the old Hulk Green Goliath kind of stuff. Outside of those effects, they can't touch it. Okay, which is pretty interesting, right? Like, smack a bunch of buff globals on him because you can target him, but they can't. So then they have to block, give him Overcrush, all for 5. Really interesting idea that was floated out there on the Dice Masters Unlimited group on Facebook, was to use him as a fabricate. Or not a fabricate, what is that? A nowhere, I should know that. Use him as a nowhere target to get a 6 cost pretty easily because of his next portion, which is the Underdog mechanic. On him, he says Earth X Machine Man costs 2 less to purchase. So he's a 3/4 on top. He's a 3-fist 3/4, which is not as bad as obviously a 5/3/4. So there's some redeeming value to him. Now the question is there enough redeeming value to put him over any of these other super rares? Or is he some amazing sleeper that you can fit him onto a team? That's the real question, and that's what we will seek to find out coming up here after we look at number 3. Number 3, in contention for worst card, let's do this, is the Earth X, pop over, click, Earth X the Skull, which is a 5-cost mask character, which a nice little trend going 5 cost on all these different ones. He is an 011, an 013, and a 124 for 5. And his Underdog ability says, when fielded, each player KOs all but one of their mask character dice. Okay, sorry. That's a really stupid ability. So it can hit things, right? It's just not really things you care about, especially in the meta right now. It's like, anyway, when fielded, your opponent's life total cannot go below 1 this turn. Not your life total, your opponent's your opponent's life total can't go below 1 this turn. All right, so next we're gonna just keep moving on. That one makes me sad. Here we go. Earth X Thor. Earth X Thor is markedly better than the last one we just looked at, which is a 5-cost Bolt character. Bolt is a great energy type in this game, or in this current current state of things. A 144, 255, 266, which is decent. The 266 is pretty okay for a 5-drop. And it says, when fielded, if you have less life than an opponent, KO target character die, which is cool. You KO yours or your opponent's, so you could use it to trigger when KO'd abilities, which is kind of nice. You have to have less life than your opponent, but that's not the worst or the most difficult thing to have happen. When fielded, KO target villain character die. That's also pretty good. All of these when fielded effects are getting nuked by Madame Mask and Wonder Woman Reflections, but if those things aren't out, then you're being able to KO a villain character die is pretty decent in this meta, because villains are surprisingly powerful, and they've kind of never really gone away, have they? They're always good, all the way back since Justice League, all the way back then. And the final ability is Underdog. When fielded, KO target character die with a fielding cost of 0, which can hit almost anything. Well, actually, not almost anything, because it has to be the fielding cost that the side that they're on. So it can definitely hit a sidekick at worst, and it can hit a lot of decent pieces. If you're playing, like, there's some non-direct damage teams, like just physical damage teams, that are actually starting to be pretty good, in my opinion. So a couple of those can get pretty hit by these, which is nice, right? Which is nice. So things like Dum Dum Dugan. Guy Gardner is always really, really good, right? Guy Gardner can get knocked out on 2 of his sides with this card on the Underdog ability. And if you're playing a Guy team, then you're most likely having more characters on the field than the person fielding Earth X Thor, so that Underdog does trigger, KOs a Guy, which could be good for them, because they just, you're trying to line the guy up correctly for that hit, for that swing. So for Earth X cards, let's jump into Malekith. So everyone's number 1, probably. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure this is my number 1. I'm not sure what, and here's the problem. I'm not sure what goes ahead of it, but I'm not sure if this, because the more I think about this card, it's got a lot of great things about it, right? So it's a 4-cost bolt character, so you can buy this turn 1. It's a villain by itself, so it can go on a villain team and actually work, just for the sake of being a 4-cost and triggering villain stuff, right? It's got a 114, a 125, and a 136 stat line, so it's like the way olden days Joker stats from, I think that was Justice League, that had this same basic stat line. He says, while Malekith is active, when you use an action die, you may add it to your bag at the end of the turn. So this is great for things like, especially if he goes on a villain team, this is great for Villainous Pact. This is good for big entrance. This is good for Cube, obviously. We'll mention that one third, because that one's everyone's first mention, so we might as well throw a few other ones out there. This is good for, I don't know, you shout out some actions in the chat there. What is this good for? What can Malekith prep into your bag or pop into your bag that is particularly effective? Something I haven't mentioned. So I've mentioned Villainous Pact, big entrance, things that normally get run. I guess Vicious Struggle, but I don't know if he really fits on that. Well, he could with his global there. What else can you really pop into the bag? Investigation, sure, yeah. Investigation plus the spot combo to get crazy ramp. Really any ramp die, which there are a few. What's that really, really insane basic action from the new set? I'm not sure. I forgot what that one was, where you deal damage over and over and over again until it KOs something. What is that one from the Thor set? You deal 1, 1, 1, 1. You could proc a delayed blast fireball. Well, no, that would be bad. If you put that out there as continuous, it would not work so well, right? That would be poor. Oh, what's that one called? Where it deals 1, then 1, then 1, then 1 until everything's gone? I forget what it was. Oh, man. Transition zone. I want you to update. Is it Mjolnir? Is it Mjolnir? Is it Rare Mjolnir? That doesn't seem right. Well, you could do Rare Mjolnir, sure. Maybe it is that one. Maybe I'm just totally blanking and that's totally right. Either way, that would be interesting. There are a lot of interesting options that that this hits. Just being, something that action die is pretty good. Let's see. His global is great. Go away, thing. Things popping up all over my screen. His global is great. It says pay 1 bolts. Once during your turn, KO target character die that you control. If you do, reduce the purchase cost of the next action die you purchase by 2. And the important thing here is action die, because this plays exactly like the Blue Eyes White Dragon global, which is all the way back from Yu-Gi-Oh! And was an awesome global. It was a great global. I loved that card. Funny story, I actually walked into the game store that I go to, the Game Closet, like 2 years ago. Maybe it was less than, it was like a year and a half ago. I don't know, something like that. Before Christmas, my family was about to hop in the car and drive down to my wife's family's house for Christmas, and stopped into the Game Closet because I needed to like return one thing or something. I don't know. Who returns something at a game store, and bought a couple of waters, and in order to meet the $3 minimum for the card that they had at the time, I picked up like 3 random Yu-Gi-Oh packs, pulled a rare Blue Eyes. It was awesome. It was so sick. 3 packs, the water paid for itself. That was so sweet. But this global only hits action dice. It doesn't hit any purchase. That was a weird tangent. Sorry. And so, but it still procs things it still lands on things that are pretty good. There are some decent 4-cost stuff. Yeah, you could put it on the rare Bifrost if you buy into the hype on that card. It is the rare Mjolnir that pings. What is it? How does it end? What was the ending of that? What was the ending of the rare Mjolnir? Does it end when something gets KO'd? Is that what it is? I think. Tell me in the chat. So I know you deal 1 damage, then you deal another, or is it you deal 2? I should just look up the card. I don't know what I'm doing. You know, when I set this stream up, I put it on like medium latency, so it's like, 5 seconds. No, less than that, but like 4 seconds. So I gotta ask a question, then wait 4 seconds. Cool stuff, Ink. Come on, let's go. Mjolnir. One of these. Mjolnir. Oh man, the AVX Mjolnir. Remember that set. 1, then 2, and then continue until something is KO'd. Or all dice have been damaged. Yeah, that's a fun card. And it's 3 too, which actually totally works. And yes, you can use this to prep some stuff over on turn 3 and like go crazy with ramp. Yep. All right, so Malekith, he's a good card. This is one to keep your eye on, as we all know. All right, next up we have Ragnarok. Ragnarok is a 7-cost bolt character with a 153, really low defensive stat line on that. 153, 164, 276 stat line. He says, when fielded, KO all opposing sidekick dice. You may then choose to KO any number of your sidekick dice and deal 1 damage to target opponent for each sidekick die KO'd by this effect. So simple, straightforward. You KO all their sidekicks, right? Kind of board wipe their sidekicks. Then you choose to KO any number of yours, which is kind of nice actually that you get the choice. Because if you want to keep my pronunciation of Mjolnir is not worthy. Well, I'm sorry. I don't have the skills. Anyway, so you get to keep some characters as chump blockers, giving you the option to deal them as damage or to keep them around is pretty cool. And then you deal 1 damage to target opponent for each sidekick die KO'd by this effect. You combine this with Cube, and you have some decent damage. You can do a nice little OTK with this with Cube. You just got to get to it. So you got to pay 7. You got to pay nowhere plus 2 characters, that sort of thing. 2 triggers of nowhere to get there, or maybe on average 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 1 if you can figure it out. I don't know. So it's got a decent win con built-in within itself. It is a villain as well, so you could put it on a villain team and kind of work that around. So weigh that in with your rankings as we talk about the final 2 cards, which are, boop, go away, there it is, Thor. This is the female Thor, and female Thor I find kind of interesting. Female Thor is a 6-cost shield character. It's with the 145, 256, 368 stat line. When Thor attacks until the end of the turn, prevent the first 2 damage to each of your other attacking character dice, so they don't take any damage or 2 damage when they block or when get blocked, which is interesting. And she's got a global that says pay a shield. Target attacking character die goes to the used pile if KO'd this turn, which is a double-edged sword because her standard ability is a when attacks ability, and so your opponent can technically use this global against you when you attack. They just have to pay a shield and KO whatever character they want to get rid of. Now, it's hard to do that against this Thor, especially if she's on level 3, but if you're averaging on level 2 on average, then you can find 6 damage maybe. Overall, though, it's a pretty cool card. Pretty nice card. And a 6 drop is not the worst thing in the world. Last one up, another 7 drop. This is the Male Thor, and this is Unworthy. This is one of the ones that I pulled. I guess what was the other one I pulled? The one right above it, the Earth X Thor. This one says, while Thor is active, you may sacrifice him. If you do, prevent all damage dealt to you or your character dice until the end of the turn. So it blocks both you and character dice damage, which is pretty cool. He's a 7-cost bolt character, Avengers Affiliation, 156, 268, 388 stat line, so a good little dragon stat line there. He's very buff, which is cool. And the fact that you can sacrifice him, which means sending him to the used pile at any point while he's active during I guess it would be during a global window, or there's probably an interrupt for him. He would qualify for one of those interrupts, I would imagine, so that you can absorb whatever damage to dice or to yourself that you can, which is interesting because you just like block with a bunch of stuff that you don't want to get KO'd and flip the tables by just sacrificing him. And I imagine you can also do this thing where, like you would do with Ronan, which had a similar ability to this, where you block with him and then also sacrifice him. So he creates another block, if you will. Very, very interesting things. The only issue with him, or maybe one of the issues with him, is that he is a 7-drop. He's a bolt character, though, and bolts have great synergy. So, all 8 super rares. Take a look at all 8 of these. Kind of get in your mind what you think each of these, how you think each of these kind of pan out, where they all fall to you, what's the worst, what's the best, and then let's go ahead and pop on over to here. Oh, look, we're showing this card because that's one we want to look at right now. Let me just turn all of these off. Bop, bop. All right, so we're going to go alphabetically. Hey, look, there you are, chat. You're just hanging out there right above me, right above my head in this virtual world that I've created. Okay, so I'm going to post in the chat a link to a straw poll. You're going to go to the straw poll, and you're going to look at this Captain America, and you're going to say, is this the best card? And if you think it's the best card, best super rare of the set, you're going to put a 1. If you think it's the worst, you're going to put an 8. If you think it's the 5th best, you're going to put a 5. It's pretty straightforward, right? So hop onto that straw poll. Click on over there. I'm going to do it too because I have not voted on any of these yet. And I'm going to, and if you want to look at the all 8 of them again, I'll pop back and forth. So here's this one. Here are all 8. So we are working on looking at this very first one, which is the Earth X Captain America. And you vote as to what you think the power level of this card. Is it the best one, or is it the worst 8, or is it somewhere in between? I am super interested in this whole process personally. I love ranking cards. The idea of trying to put a ranking to it seems really interesting to me. I will also not really say anything as to what I think because I don't want to. I want you to make your own decisions based on your own variables, right? And so I'm going to look and do this along with you because I actually have not. And if you have comments in the about each card or about this card, leave them in the chat because then we can talk about it. Then we can talk. I don't know. Can you, if you choose and then hit vote, can you revote? Can you change your mind? This is my first time messing around with straw polls, so I don't actually know the answer. All right, I'm going to put him here. And put him above that one. Spoiler alert, I'm not ranking him bottom. I don't know. Vote. Wow. Interesting. All right, I want to show you these results. Let me see if I can set up a little screen so I can show you these results. Pop, pop, transition. Let's see. Let me show you. You can't change it, so make your choices and live with it. Window capture. Okay. Look, let's see. Capture cursor. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll go like this so that you can't see my browser information. Boom. Okay. I have the screen you can kind of follow along with. Transition. Send it. So this is what we've voted so far. I will refresh it as well. Let's see. Refresh results. Refresh results. Refresh results. Refresh results. So right now, 7 people voted, including myself. Second most powerful card. Very interesting. This is a second most powerful card in a lot of people's minds, or in 3 people's minds. Interesting. Can't be blocked by villains. Gain 4, which can work, and you could cycle them. Sure, you gain 4 again. And then the underdog of popping in some control pieces, which I think is really, really powerful. I kind of agree with you guys. I think it's super powerful. All right, so that's number 1. Transition. And let's go over to number 2. All right, the one people want to hate on. Here's the question. What do you guys actually think this card is ranked? Vote and rank Earth X Machine Man at the link that I am attempting to post. Boom, right here. Cap. With 1 or 2 of its abilities and a lower purchase cost would be better. The 5 cost with abilities that do not win the game by themselves is why he's not number 1 for CCM. Those are some good arguments, certainly. So go ahead and vote in this one. We're looking at Earth X Machine Man. Remember, this is a character that you can buy for 3 if you have less stuff in the field compared to your opponent. You can buy this for 3. You can buff it. You can sacrifice Silver Sable and make this unblockable, period, which is decent because they don't have any other way of fixing it. So Silver Sable is basically like when you're ready to attack with this, Silver Sable is basically a win for you if you can buff this to OTK levels. You only have 1 of these dice. It can act as Fabricate, which is kind of cool. This to me is not the worst card, everyone. Not the worst card to me. I think it has some potential. Not much, but it has some potential over some things. Oh, I should say this. Oh my gosh, I should totally say this. You don't have to use every number, right? You don't have to assign one of them 1. You don't have to assign one of them 8. If you do, it means that you don't have any ties whatsoever, which can be good when I average all this together, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm going to try to assign something a number and then stick to it. Just for me, that's my own personal thing. All right, let's see. This is what we have for Earth X Machine Man. A lot of 6s, and then 5s, 3s, and 2s. So he's averaging to the 6th best super rare, which is kind of cool. Not the 8th best super rare, so good for him. I'm curious to see then what people think as the 7th best super rare is. Let's go ahead and keep on trucking. I think that, honestly, I do think it has some potential, which is pretty interesting, because I don't think this one does. I don't think this one has much potential. I mean, you could be smarter than me. Oh man, I love the first one. Underdog triggers half the time when fielded. Each player KOs all but one of their mask characters, so at least he doesn't KO himself. That would be the most hilariously redundant thing. All right, so got in your mind what you think? Let me pull up the link, and we'll go vote on the skull. I am waiting with bated breath to see if this falls anywhere but bottom. Curious. Boop. Here we go. What do you think this one rates? I don't really have to think about it personally. I know what I voted for. I'm curious to see what you voted for. Let's take a look, because I think we can all just kind of boom, hit a button, decide what we think. So far, 3 people. Let's refresh it though. So far, 6 people. Oh, someone put it 6th. I want justifications. Give me a justification. Why 6? What do you do with this card? What does this card do for you? Okay, so it kills Madam Mask, right? Doesn't it? No, because it's a when fielded ability. Oh, no, when fielded, Underdog doesn't get affected, I guess, because it's a keyword. So it kills Madam Mask, okay? What else does it knock out? Because that's really what you're looking for. All right, so you KO Madam Mask. What are your other mask characters? Is Collector a mask character? Is Collector... It's not changing. Everyone thinks this. I'm trying to figure out, like, the one person who picked 6. I'm not hating on you. Like, I promise. I'm not like mad or anything. This, it's just we're having fun. I'm just really curious. I want the justifications, because it would be super cool if there was something that we would be missing. It's a mask ring counter. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, if you're running up against Multiple Man, he's a mask character, right? I haven't seen him in a while. Pops a bunch of Multiple Mans, right? Collector is mask, yeah, Collector. I mean, but then it says each player KOs all but one, so they just leave the one that they want up. So they just leave the one that they want up. I mean, it doesn't even kill the thing you want. You don't get to choose. Let's just keep going. Earth X Thor. Here we go. Earth X Thor. 5 cost bolt. 2 when fielded effects and 1 underdog when fielded effect. All right, let me post the link while I sit here and think about it. Boop, 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 boop. Here we go. Jump on into this one. Earth X Thor. This is one of 2 female Thors in this set, which is kind of interesting that they adopted that so quickly, because this is a relatively new development. Female Thor. Less life, KO target character die. When fielded, KO target villain character die. So she kills 3 things when she comes down. That is serious board swing. She's a 5 drop. You drop her down. All right, so this, how's the best way to say it? I don't want to say this is really, really amazing, but I played a draft from the Thor set, right? And what's the guy? Hogan. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. The one that has Intimidate, right? If you consider Intimidate, which is you bring something out and then you get rid of one of their blockers, right? You consider Intimidate to be kind of like a pseudo KO effect. They get it back at the end of the turn, right? Hogan gives that ability to Fandral, right? So I did the whole Fandral Hogan thing, and I think I fielded it in one turn. In a game I probably should have lost, I fielded Hogan. I fielded one Hogan, one Fandral, right? And I fielded those two characters to get that proc in the correct order. And then I fielded like 2 other characters. And then I didn't even realize it at the time, but I fielded 4 characters, and I removed 2 of their characters, which means I was like the 6-character flip, right? A differential of 6. This card, when you field it, it can potentially KO 3 characters. So it gives you like a 4-character flip, which after playing that match and winning that match that I probably should have lost, I thought to myself, that ability is really strong. Like, Intimidate's really strong. This could considerably be pretty strong. Let's say you just get 2 of the abilities to trigger. KO2, field 1, and it's most likely a 5/5. That's a quarter of your opponent's health. Sorry, I'm thinking. All right, so let's take a look at what we are voting on this one. Wow, we are very split on this. Let me show it. How do I show it? Boom. Transition. Look at this. We're split on this one. That's interesting. So we've got 2 people voting this the second best, 2 people voting this the 4th best, 2 people voting this the 6th best, and 1 person voting this the 3rd best card. So this one, we are just like, take your pick, throw a dart. And I find this one very interesting. Unfortunately, I mean, the biggest thing is that you don't have more than 1 die for this, but it's a 5-drop. Ooh, am I getting like that weird? Look at that, everyone. Hey, don't look at this stuff. Boop, boop, sorry. So you're getting all of this value out of it, which is super interesting, and I think it could have a ton of potential. Back over to me. All right, next up. I mean, the one that everyone kind of has earmarked as number 1. Let's see if we vote that way. 4-drop, villain, action dice in a meta that's very action dice heavy. Really powerful global. What makes you say no to this one? Are any of those other cards better than that? Any of them better than what we got here? Let's find out. Let me hit refresh results, refresh results. All right, so 5 people have voted. Do you think it's unanimous? Do you think it's a unanimous number 1, or do you think someone has gone against the grain and voted this somewhere else? 7 people have voted. 7 people, and the general consensus is this. That, surprise, surprise. Everyone had the same idea. It looks like this is the best card, the best super rare in the set. You know, we would be here forever if we went set by or card by card by card. But I would be curious to see what we thought other, cards that are better than this one in this set would be. I think there are a few. I think there is actually a decent amount, right, that are better than this card. But I would say that this one is really good. I think this is the best of the super rares. So it looks like we all agree as well. 7 people chimed in and said, "Oh, Joe! Oh my gosh! What? 2 people said 3rd best. I like it. I like it. Non-unanimous. There we go. Very interesting. Or it could just be someone just throwing out there, breaking the tie, as it were, which is pretty funny. Or breaking the unanimous vote. All right, moving on. Transition back over here. We got 3 left. We're gonna look at Ragnarok. What do we think on Ragnarok? Are we hyped about the 7 cost that acts as its own win condition? Because 7, I would say, is hard to get to in this game. 6, not so much. 7, yes. 7's kind of difficult. He's a win condition that can OTK fairly easily, I'd say, especially if we're running something like Insect Plague. That's probably not focused at all. I'm sorry. But if you're running Insect Plague, get a bunch of sidekicks out, or Professor X and really just, I guess, Professor X. Professor X and the ramp dude, Mimic. That makes a good combo alongside Ragnarok that you get to 7. And you can get to 7 that way. That's not bad. Now, so who said that the Doppelganger was better for 4? Who said that earlier? Because I'm looking into that right now. Where is that? It's in a Marvel. Gotta bust out Transition Zone. Spider-Man Maximum Carnage. This is quality. Me looking at my phone. This is quality streaming content right here. So when fielded, so the Doppelganger 6 arms. KO all opposing sidekick character dice, deal 1 damage to target opponent for each sidekick die KO'd this way. Benefits from this to that, or that to this. The fact that you can kind of control a little bit of the damage output by putting it on your side of the field, and then you can choose to not do that or do that based on the matchup is something. 3 energy. Justified the 3 energy. I'm not so sure. He's a when fielded, he could get blocked too, which is an important distinction or important note. I should post the thing. Did I post the thing for this one? Yes, I did post the thing for this one. I don't think it's that, but I don't think it's that. I think it's that. I can make that justification. Actually, I think I already voted that one. There's only 2 left. I forgot what numbers I've used. Forget it. Boom. All right, let's see what we think. Yeah, I should have gone that way too. Here we go, everybody. This is what we think. Pop. So a lot of people thinking 3rd best, which is interesting. A couple people thinking 4th best and 7th best. I do think this has potential, and the fact that it does give you some control versus the 6 arms that we were mentioning earlier is okay. With Ring, he is essentially a 6 cost. Explain. With Ring, he is essentially a 6 cost. With Ring, he is essentially... I'm not sure what you mean. Right, yeah, there's ways to get him, right? I don't know about same effect, CCM. There's a marginal advantage, like I said, yeah. Marginal. Yes, and they do get hardcore countered. Oh, yeah, sure. Yes, he's net 6. He's a net 6 cost with the Ring of Winter. I was thinking the ring from the 2nd D&D set for some reason. Yes, he goes pay 1. Yep. Net 6. So, let's refresh this one more time. Boom. No changes. So we think this is somewhere in this range here. All right. Click this. Let's transition back over here. All right, 2 more. Thor Female. All right, let's post the link and cruise through these last 2. Female Thor, do you think this is worst, best? What's your opinion? Boom. Vote now. Female Thor. Let me go over and look at her. So the fact that, and again, this could be a net 5. Oh, we should take that into account. This could be a net 5 with Ring of Winter. The fact that she protects the rest of your dice from, blocking damage means more stuff sticks, theoretically, if your stuff is being blocked, which is kind of cool. I don't know if it's powerful enough to justify 6 cost, though she is a 3/6/8, which is cool. I do think that the global works against her. I think hard. I think it works against her really a lot. Because if I'm playing against that, then I just you know, figure out what I want KO'd and say see ya with the global. So I'm not keen on this one. But you tell me, do you think, you know, like where do you think this falls? 1 best, 8 worst. 1 best, 8 worst. And let's take a look at what we think. This one is really split. Interesting. Very interesting. So 2 people think 4, 2 people think 7. 1 person thinks 1, 1 person thinks 1, 1 person thinks 1, 1 5, 1 8. Person who justifies this as 1, thoughts. What are you thinking? How did you get to that conclusion? Person who justifies this as 8, thoughts. What do you think? How does this get to the bottom? Why is this worse than the skull? So tell me, what are you thinking? Because I'm curious. I really am. I think it has some benefits, but not a ton. Post in the comments below your opinion. And let's go to the final one, which is Male Thor, aka giant version of Ronin. Opinions on giant version of Ronin. Let me pop this in the chat. Why am I having so much trouble? There we go. Boop. Go. All right, Thor Male. So he sacrifices. He can block. It can happen on your opponent's turn. It can happen on your turn for some reason. I don't know if you'd want it to. Maybe some fringe case that you'd want it to trigger on your turn. I'm going with that one. To round it out, going with that one. And let's see what you guys think. And we'll take our time. I'll refresh this a few times so that we can kind of see what everyone's thinking. 4 people voted so far. It's a dead split down the center. So we got 2 people voting 6. 1 person on most powerful, 1 person on 4th most powerful, and 5th most powerful. Interesting. So far we've agreed. We have a majority on... Ooh, this one changed a little bit. We have a majority on Earth X Captain America. For 2 being the second best. We have a majority on Earth X Machine Man being the 6th best. Now this is not, you know, actually calculating this out. And I am showing this to you, right, guys? Yeah, you can see that. Cool. We have a big majority understanding what the worst is. We have a little bit of a majority on, or just a like edge out on Earth X Thor being 4th best. We have Malekith being 1st in 1st. We've got Ragnarok hitting that 3rd best spot right there. We have Thor Female. So continuing to reload that one. Thor Female is just sort of all over the place. A couple of most and least powerfuls. And back to Thor Male. Rounding that one out, we've got a 3, 2, 1, and 1s kind of right down the middle. 5th, 6th, 1st, and 4th. Which is interesting. So those are the raw scores. Let me pull up an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, that's right. It's about to get crazy. Busting out Excel on a Tuesday night at 9:48 p.m. All right, so let's do this. How do we want to go about doing this? We could calculate this 1,000 different ways. You tell me in the comments, what should we do for calculating the average of these things? Should we throw out like a high and a low? Should we just like run every single person's vote and just do a straight average? Because some of these have more participations than others. You know, like Earth X Captain America here has 6, 7, 8, and this person, Machine Man, has 5, 8. Well, this one's good. 8, 8. Let's see. Do all of them have 8? Nope. This one has 7. This one has 8. This one has 9. This one has 8. So most of these are around the same. 2, 4, 6, 8. 3, 5, 7. So it's all kind of a mishmash. What do you guys think? Should we how should we best handle the averages? Oh god, what did I do? I clicked a thing. High, low, and throw out the average? Or throw out the high and low and then average. Sure, I can do that. But do I throw out, like, let's say, for example, I mean, obviously we don't really have to calculate Malekith because that's going to take 1. You throw out, like, 1 vote on the high and 1 vote on the low, or do you throw out, like, everything? What's the thought process there? What is the thought process? What's the most fair? Somebody get me a statistician. Is it statistician? 4, 4. Because I could just add them all up and divide. But I have to make the one with 7 have 8. 3, 6. Looking for feedback. Throw out the outliers. How? Like, for example, let me see if there's an example, or maybe that just works, right? So in Earth X Machine Man's case, how do we calculate this? We got 3 votes for 6, we've got 2 for 3, we've got 2 for 5, and we've got 1 for 2. So let's use Machine Man as an example. How do we best? Let's crunch the numbers. How do you guys want to go about averaging this, and what place does he receive in the final voting tally? I'm going to do some typing, so don't mind me real quick. Gotta fix all this up. This is the only thing that I couldn't do beforehand. I did just about everything else I could do beforehand. Set up these little straw polls and such, but I could not obviously take the raw scores and put them in a spreadsheet. Ask the magic 8-ball. Throw out 2 because it's a 1 vote. And then round up against. So average with a decimal and then round up in case of a tie. Let me just do this real quick. Click to click. So if I were to just hit average and do the same thing there, I'm looking for the lower of the numbers. Let me just do that first. Let's just let me just punch in every number that we have, and then I'll hit average. What is this one? The skull. EX skull. And you can see these, and you can take these numbers down, and you can average it out as you see fit. I think we obviously know the best and the worst, but I'll pump these in just to be safe. 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. 6. Pop that there. That one's not doing so well. EX Thor. She's got a 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 2, 2. Am I hitting tab? Is that messing with you guys? No? Is tab doing anything? I hope not. Everyone's just like sitting around. 8 points for each number 1, vote 7 for each number 2, and so on. Then add the total scores. Just choose 3 because that was my vote. What is the best way? Therein lies the conundrum. 6, 6, and the final one for this one was 3. So yeah, you could definitely throw out the 1 number option. We may not. It may not even end up mattering once I crunch the raw scores. Malekith is clearly number 1 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3. 3. Yeah, not even close. Ragnarok. How's everyone's Tuesday going? Tuesday's kind of a weird day of the week. I feel like you just really settle in on a Tuesday. You're not really sure how the rest of the week's gonna go. Tuesday. 2 more to go. 4, 4, 5, 5, 7, 7, 1, 8. So, see, that's one of those that you totally throw the outliers out. 4, 4, 5, 5, 7, 7, 1, 8. But we'll put them in there just to be consistent. Because normally you'd take the highest score and the lowest score and toss them. But you don't have a standard number of judges on everything, or votes. Thor Male. It's got 5, 5, 5. 6, 6, 6, 6. 1, 4, 1, 4. All right. You know, this actually ends up working pretty decently. Let me see if I can now add this in as well, so that you can see what I'm looking at. Possible limited DMS that is a plus. You see numbers. You're seeing these, right? Do you see this? Let me add this. Window capture is what I'm looking for. Create new. No. Good Lord, why is that so terribly difficult to see? What? What? Why can't you see this? Why can't I see this? Is it because I don't have it up? If I go like this, does it help? No, you can't even see it. That's so weird. I'm trying to show you the Excel stuff, but it won't pull up. Here, I'll just type it into like a random document. I'll type it into this document. Maybe you can see this. All right. Let me add this in there. Pause, everyone. Pause. Boop. All right. Can everyone see that? Can you see this? May not be the most easy to see. Why can't I move it? Hello. All right. So if you can see this, Earth X Captain America is at the top. I'm going to go zoom in. Oh, no. I just moved something. It's going to look terrible when I make this go away. Hey, I moved my thing. Oops. How do I not move that? Well, I give up. I give up. Let's just go to this. Boom. So if you could see this, Earth X Captain America got, if I just raw average, and it's probably enough, got a 3.125. Machine Man, Earth X Machine Man got a 4.5. Earth X the Skull got a strong 7.7. And remember, the lower the number, the better, right? Earth X Thor, where am I here? Got a 3.875. Malekith got a 1.25. Ragnarok, interestingly, got a 4.25. These are averaging who voted for each thing, just raw numbers. Thor, female, got a 5.1 something something 25. And then Thor Male got a, I'm going to have to break that. No, I don't have to break it. Yeah, 4.57. So if we were to compare all these numbers, help me out here. Obviously, we can bookmark this as number 1. Boom. And we can bookmark this this as number 8. All right. Next lowest, we have a with a resounding 3.125 as Earth X Captain America. So with the people that have voted today, we think Earth X Captain America, with its ability to pull stuff out and throw it down, and you know grab stuff that captures or blanks or even pushes, like you put this for some reason if you just wanted to make it more fun, I guess, because it's a really optimized list. But you could totally put this onto a Guy Gardner team, you know, stuff like that, or a ring team if people still play those. You could do that. After this, we have Earth X Thor, which is another strong one. Good board flipper. Third most voted. Then we coming in with Ragnarok, which is interesting. We got 4 as 4. And then we have Earth X Machine Man as 5. Where am I missing? What am I missing here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm on 6. What did I skip? What did I skip? Oh, jeez. It's late, I guess. 1, 2, yeah, 3. Oh, 8. Yeah, 5, 6. Yeah, okay, cool. So this is 4, 5. This is 6. The male Thor. 6. Very interesting. And then female Thor comes in at 7, rounding out the crew. So what do we think? Are we a fan of this list? How do we feel about this? So obviously we think Malekith is number 1. And Earth X Captain America is number 2, which I could justify that. Certainly. My personal leanings, these two are really close for me, which it looks like they were really close as well. These two, I would flip in a heartbeat. Yeah, maybe not a heartbeat, because getting this for 3, getting an Earth X Machine Man for 3 is a decent value. And you can do some stuff with him, like I said. So there's options there. I could see these two being close then. I actually could. Ragnarok being 4. I think CCM is right in a lot of respects that the abilities are super duper close. And the fact that they're super duper close means that you could really, I mean, something you can buy on turn 1 is so much more powerful than something you have to really work towards. So yeah, I'd probably still switch those, even though this ability, giving yourself some control is pretty good. But yeah, I'd probably switch those in my own rankings. But it's not about my rankings; it's about our rankings. Thor female being the 7th, like the second worst. I would totally agree with that. I would totally agree. So tell me in the comments, what do you think about these rankings? In fact, why don't you do this? You give your rankings like CCM did in the comments. He says Malekith EX Cap, EX Machine Man. He likes the Machine Man, but he's a tinkerer, so that makes sense. No offense. Male Thor, female Thor, EX Thor. I disagree. EX Thor's better than that. Ragnarok, Skull at the bottom. And I think the middle is where I was most interested to see how the community kind of falls. I think the more brain power you put to something, the more it really does average out. So that's why I kind of liked what we did. I like the aspect of everyone just pouring and coming up with some raw average. And feel free to take these numbers that you've looked at. If you want them, I'll give them to you, and you can kind of ask other people around your scene to rank them 1 to 8. And again, some people might not have even put things in slot 1. They might have had ties, and ties do confuse things a little bit. So this is not, obviously, it's not like super scientific, but it is super interesting. Underrating female Thor. There's some fun to be had there. Tell us what. Tell us what we are underrating, because I see it being a one-note thing. I see it being very one-note. Like, it does one thing, and that's prevent damage from going through on attackers. And then I see a global that could be good defending and could just blow up in your face. Yeah, I get the Uncommon Daisy thing. I certainly do that. I totally get that aspect of it, that you can pay 2 and prevent that. But, okay, so what are you running up against that you're paying, or that you're KOing something with 2 defense? Like, what is your opponent running? Like, what team are they playing? Insect Plague and Guy Gardner. That's a good board clear. uncommon Daisy and the 6 cost. But I think, I don't know. I think if you're buying a 6 cost against a fast team that the Daisy and the 6 cost, what's her face, Thor, are working together against, you're probably just dying. You know, like, because if you're up against a team that has a bunch of 2 defense characters or 3 defense characters that get popped by Daisy Ridley. Is it? No, it's not Daisy Ridley. Why do I keep doing that? Daisy, whatever her name is, right? And you're buying a 6 drop in that matchup, you're probably just really low, you know? So yes, it's most likely if your board clear is going to hit and do some damage, then they're running an aggro team. And buying a 6 drop in an aggro matchup seems unlikely. Not out of the realm of possibility, but certainly less likely than I would think. But you know what? Whatever. That's totally Daisy Ridley. I'm just going to call her Daisy Ridley from now on. It's not Daisy Johnson. Not in my mind. So there are the rankings that we came up with. Tell me in the comments what your rankings would be, and tell me if you think this is totally wildly off base or if you liked this method of rating. I can't make this thing go away once it starts, so I just have to let it play until it's done. And then you get to see me after it's done, which could be good or could be terrible. So, guys, thanks for hanging out. Let's do this again next week sometime. Let's do it with another set. Let's do... What set do you want to do? Because I think this is easy, and we could do it a lot faster next time. I can have all this stuff set up and a spreadsheet set up as well. You want to do Guardians of the Galaxy or Tomb of Annihilation? That would be fun. How many people think Yanti's going to win that one? Soulmonger would probably be 8 in that instance. But all those middle ones are actually super intriguing. Batman. Oh, we could go way back. Oh, that would be cool. We could go like all the way back to the Uncanny X-Men. Oh, that would be fun. Go all the way back and right. No, I think X-Men First Class would be fun too. Those are some good ones in there. I actually started the impetus behind this idea was that I was working on a video ranking the X-Men First Class Super Rares, and so I said to myself, after opening the Thor pack, I said to myself, well, instead of making this video, let's all just hang out and talk about things. So we just do them all 1 week at a time. So I'm going to set up another one of these streams because this was fun. I had fun. I hope you guys did too. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you again next time. If you want, you can feel free to hang out in chat. Otherwise, have a good one.